A very hearty welcome to all our marvelous friends and the Warhammer 40k aficionados. We welcome you to a series that dives deep into the lore of the universe, and today we'll look at none other than the Changer of Ways, Tzeentch. As this being keeps weaving his chaotic threads to influence the workings of the galaxy, understanding his cryptic existence is a task indeed because, like his realm, he himself is forever in a state of flux. Tzeentch is the Master of Sorcery, the Keeper of Secrets, the God of Knowledge and Lies, and the Deity of Evolution. He seeks out those with immense ambition and enjoys twisting their fates. Being such an enigmatic entity, you would think that Tzeentch can work his way through to ensure that he always gets the upper hand, but that's not always the case. There have been instances where he's been defeated, but all of those defeats can very well be his own machinations since he favors change overall. Maintaining the status quo isn't his style, as he overlooks every action, intrigue, and conspiracy with a chessboard of galactic proportions. He's an excellent marionette, weaving threads that tie unsuspecting human souls into a web of deceit and make them his pawns. Every move Tzeentch makes is calculated and timed perfectly to ensure his supremacy among the forces of chaos. He's probably one of the most elusive and also fascinating of the dark gods and embodies the ever-changing and dynamic nature of the warp like none other. So, without further ado, let's explore Tzeentch, the god of change, knowledge, and lies, and aim to understand his ultimate plans for the galaxy. Sit tight as we get ready to dive in, but before we get too far into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Tzeentch, and what are his philosophies and methods? Tzeentch is known by a number of titles, such as the Weaver of Destinies, the Lord of Entropy, the Architect of Fate, the Great Conspirator, and so on. For every title, he has 1,000 forms and appearances and legends. He reigns over mutation, destiny, sorcery, intrigue, lies, and knowledge. A desire for change and immense ambition among mortals is something that empowers this cosmic being. However, despite all his titles, his true power is sorcery. By controlling this twisted, chaotic medium of psychic energy, Tzeentch is essentially an embodiment of this ability and tendency of mortal beings to evolve and become better than others. Ambition, thus, is what Tzeentch is always hungry for, and he targets mainly those who have the strongest desires and aspirations. His insidious promise to them is the concept of eternal life, a means to stop death and the inevitable. Normally, weak-willed beings will not be targeted by the god of change since carrying out his will requires steely resolve. Moreover, weak-hearted individuals do not satisfy Tzeentch's craving for manipulation since there is always more pleasure in undermining stronger beings. 8,000 years ago, the Old Ones dominated the mortal world. They made huge portals in the north and south of continents, which were used as gateways to this reality. Beyond this gate, there was a multiverse known as the Realm of Chaos where the ruinous powers lived, whom the Old Ones kept at bay using great magical power. Later, a cataclysmic event eradicated them, and the portals failed, resulting in the energies of the chaos coming into the modern world, which made the North and South Poles wastelands. Daemons started taking physical form in the world, and winds of magic blew with ferocity. The uncountable armies of these forces attacked the remaining life forms in the world. When chaos had first entered the world, the most formidable power of the ruinous powers was none but Tzeentch himself. During this time, magic, mutation, deceit, and treachery ran rampant. Khorne, Nurgle, and Slaanesh started fearing that Tzeentch would outpower them, and then they defeated him in a great battle fought in the Realm of Chaos. They hurled Tzeentch from atop a mountain, and he shattered into 10,000 pieces that flew across infinity, with each of the shards transforming into a magical incantation. Today, these 10,000 spells are used by magic users everywhere. While Tzeentch's ascendant power faded ultimately, equilibrium was restored among the Chaos Gods, but each of them strived for dominance in their great game. This story basically serves to imply that Tzeentch is the core of all magic use, and to cast a magical spell is to utilize the essence of the Architect of Fate. Philosophers in the Empire are either unaware of this terrible fact or try to suppress this, fearing the consequences. Everything that happens in the galaxy is a machination by Tzeentch. Every action, every plot and intrigue is a game of cosmic levels to this god, and it's simply a move on his part to maintain his manipulation over all beings. What makes things more interesting is how a human soul is at the end of each string this great marionette weaves, who works as his immortal servants and believe that they are serving the Lord of Sorcery on terms that are mutually beneficial. Everything that Tzeentch does is a method to re-establish his supremacy as the preeminent chaos power so that he becomes the ultimate victor in the great game. That being said, the very nature of the cosmic entity is such that he can't stand stagnation. He's not someone who wishes for an end, because an end would signify an order of establishment of things and an end to chaos and change. Therefore, it's widely believed that even if he attained his ultimate victory, he would still strive for turmoil, change, and entropy. This is why, in many ways, he's both the best and the least decipherable of all the dark gods. Tzeentch personifies the constantly progressing nature of the warp and only plans to scheme forever. As mentioned, there is no end to his plans. His ultimate goal is to keep plotting and manipulating. Given the complexity of his character, there are times where his own creations unravel under the weight of his ambition. He's also the god of knowledge and comprehension, so a lot of his followers are beings who seek to understand the true nature of an enigmatic universe. Tzeentch has the ability to listen to the aspirations of every sentient being across the galaxy, and then he plans his devices in such a way that his playthings carry out his will, which could be either for his entertainment or for the advancement of his unfathomable plans. He feeds on and is empowered by the mortal desires of change and yearning. This is an essential part of life across the universe because evolution is the only truth. Individuals dream of numerous things: riches and wealth and prosperity, good health, fame and fortune, freedom, and sometimes even death. And these dreams aren't just limited to those who are impoverished and technically powerless to achieve any of them. Even imperial planetary governors and Navy battlefleet admirals and other strong beings have such dreams. All these desires create a movement where change becomes inevitable, and the dreams of communities and nations can become forces that can challenge and create histories. Tzeentch characterizes this exact force within the Immaterium. He was the second among the Chaos gods who achieved full sentience within the warp, and this happened sometime during Old Earth's European medieval period during the second millennium. His existence marked the maturing of the human race in terms of politics and nationality, and all of the intrigue and double dealings that would begin as a result. The God of Lies is not just happy to observe how things unfold in the galaxy with the passage of time. He has his own plans, which are so complex that they can touch the lives of every being in the universe without them even being aware of it. This Chaos God has a supreme comprehension of time, the past, and the future, with pretty much all kinds of knowledge that allows him to weave his plots seamlessly and create a web of causality on a cosmic level. He knows all the visions, dreams, and plans of mortals across the galaxy, mainly because he has always had something to do with influencing them. He favors cunning and moxie over brute strength because he believes that a strong mind overpowers a strong body. Whenever people whisper out of desperation or rage and pray into the void, it is Tzeentch, the architect of fate, who listens. Since he can perceive everything, his mind can also chalk out how every action or plan will influence the future, and it is this intertwined network of hopes, dreams, and uncertainty of the future that sustains this mighty being. Without these emotions, Tzeentch would ultimately fade into nothing. Maybe the god of knowledge and lies plans to overthrow all the other chaos gods and/or extend his supremacy over all mortal realms. His plans can never be ascertained for certain. Maybe he himself doesn't know what he truly wants. His ultimate mission, whatever it may be, is to manipulate humans and Xenos and keep adding fuel to his ever-enlarging web of deceit. Tzeentch offers the gift of knowledge and sorcery to also recruit influential chaos warlords and magi to his cause, and this move allows him to touch many more lives at one go. His plans are never simple. Some are stretched over eons, while others can seem contradictory to his own interests. Only Tzeentch himself can see the potential futures that are traveling through the fabric of space and time. And all these are simple instances that can happen through meticulous decisions. Being the most undisputed mastery of sorcery and change, he's far above those who use magic for their own gain. Sorcery itself is one of the most potent agents that can bring about revolution, and it's always those who are the most hungry for power that use it. The raw psychic energy, which gives the psychers of the mortal realm their powers, is the very fabric of the realm of chaos. This is the same fabric that constitutes the ruinous powers, their daemon servants and shadow selves, or mortal consciousness, which keeps flickering in the warp, and that which humanity refers to as souls. The use of this psychic power is considered to be the ultimate form of faith among those who follow Tzeentch. While his patronage will definitely cost them their immortal souls, they will have limitless power while they live. This is in complete contrast to the psychers who live in the Imperium of Man. Tzeentch believes that mortal beings are inherently ambiguous, but humorously enough, they wage personal battles while being completely unaware of the countless contradictions in their souls. His curiosity makes him dabble in the world of mortals, and many believe that the rise in the use of psychic powers in the recent millennia is nothing but Tzeentch's increased meddling in the human world. He needs to constantly manipulate and control and make plans for the futures that await, and his desire to increase his power within the warp signifies that he is forever playing the great game that's waged amongst his brother Chaos gods. While he prefers to win battles through treachery, sorcery, and manipulation, he's not above getting his claws dirty or bloody to get what he wants. He binds webs across every nook and cranny of the galaxy, just as a spider meticulously creates its own. Tzeentch's schemes and ploys can take millennia to unfold in their true glories, but whenever they do come to fruition, reality itself pays the price. This all begins with very small things, like one mortal lying to another and another mortal stewing in envy and ambition, while this god works as the puppeteer of the galaxy and starts working on the day when his grand scheme will unfold for good, and then some. As mentioned, he himself may not know what his endgame is. His very existence is an endless cycle of making his plans and collapsing under their weight. The architect of fate influences the mortal world using control and devious ploys. He victimizes those who are drawn in by the promise of forbidden knowledge or sorcery. This includes normal people, scholars, politicians, and more. The sacred number of Tzeentch is 9, and his colors, while usually seen in blue and gold, are technically ever-changing and form a rainbow of different colors. How does Tzeentch manifest, and what is his temperament? It's interesting to note that while Tzeentch is always referred to as a male, the god technically has no specific gender since he's an entity composed of psychic energy. The other dark gods have relatively fixed forms and appearances, but Tzeentch has a number of different guises. Followers have scribbled his appearance in a number of ways, and no two are similar to each other. The firmament surrounding this chaos god is heavy with sorcery and weaves like smoke over its head in different patterns. Forms of places and individuals are also seen in the smoke, which signifies Tzeentch contemplating their fates. Fascinatingly, those who find their way into this smoke will inevitably find their minds and bodies mutating into strange new forms, or it's impossible to attract the attention of Tzeentch without at least some consequences. Over the ages, certain familiarities have been associated with the appearance of the god of lies, the material presence of his followers, and the nightmares in the minds of those tormented by him. In most of these descriptions, Tzeentch is depicted as a thin, lanky sorcerer who is either or neither male or female, wearing robes that are constantly changing color. The head of the god lies below the shoulders, giving the hands and limbs spindly, long appearance. From above the burning eyes of the god, there are 2 huge horns that spring forth, the extremities of which crackle with arcane fire. His eyes are said to sparkle with the endless fire of the Empyrean, and his brow is furrowed as if he's thinking about an unsolvable puzzle. Some descriptions say that Tzeentch's skin is covered in faces and mouths that shift, slide, and are consumed back into the unnatural flesh which crawls with constant change. These faces and mouths whisper dark and terrible secrets that leer at onlookers and mock them. These faces repeat the words that are spoken by Tzeentch, and they usually provide a commentary on the statements that the god speaks. However, these consistencies may just be part of an elaborate ruse by the god of knowledge, since consistency of this kind is often associated with the most convincing lies. Some have also described Tzeentch as a being made of multicolored smoke crackling with an unknown kind of energy that burns and mutates objects it touches, with faces of various beings in the mist having a fleshy, writhing protoplasm with a burning dark tongue that sears the air around it. Some other accounts describe Tzeentch as having birds, fish, or other perverse life forms as his prime iconography, and this is important because birds and fish appear heavily as forms among the god's followers. For example, among his greatest servants are the greater daemons known as the Lords of Change, which resemble huge humanoid birds, while the screamers and discs that carry Tzeentch's champions to battle also look like giant manta rays. Then again, there are those who have commented that the Changer of Ways has no fixed appearance at all. When he chooses to manifest physically, he appears mainly as an undefined mass of flesh that is constantly shifting. The ever-changing body of the God of Change resembles his servants and followers in some renditions of iconography. For example, fish and birds are often associated with him, and this is because the environment these creatures live in, water and air, is never stagnant and always changing. A fitting ode to Tzeentch himself. Maybe the appearances and manifestations of Tzeentch are just created by mortals to give a definite shape to this entity, since they can't comprehend something that's far more abstract than human knowledge. Tzeentch is an agent of flux, and perhaps such a form is more suited to metaphor than reality, and this certainly suits the ruinous power to a better degree than any description would. In the end, however, everything is just conjecture, because any attempt to truly know the Changer of Ways is to embrace madness. Furthermore, it's also interesting to note that any attempt to understand Tzeentch and his form is also subject to his own manipulations. Maybe people describe him as he wants to be described. Even if mortals could comprehend the true nature of the Chaos God, this nature can change the next moment itself, which would render the previous manifestation and nature obsolete. The Chaos God who wears an infinite number of masks can never truly be discerned by anyone. Universally regarded as the god of magic, he oversees all magic users and sorcerers and everyone who has ambition at the cost of others. Tzeentch honestly doesn't care who calls for him, for as long as they are ready to make a Faustian pact, he finds a way to bring them within the realm of his plans and promises them eternal knowledge in exchange for their soul. What are the symbols, tenets, and cults of Tzeentch? As mentioned, Tzeentch's sacred number is 9, and this holds great significance to him. Chaos sorcerer Ahriman says that it's only upon tracing the 9th sigil that the ruins of a change scroll begin to glow, morphing into their true nature. Before unlocking the secrets of piercing a veil, an acolyte must master 9 distinct rites, and this will allow a person to access the energy of the vast Imperium. In order to remain unbroken, the summoning symbol needs to contain 9 sequential rings, which have to be perfectly executed in a 9-fold process. There are 9 chants of Kyric cultists, and for casting, a coven of 9 in number is the most powerful grouping. However, it's not just mortals that follow the Enneatic rules of the Changer of Ways. The number 9 can be found interwoven in different aspects of the Chaos God's own realm within the warp. The servants of Tzeentch and his commanders are also ordered within 9 levels of trust. Everyone seeks the favor of the Master, and those who ascend to positions of power rule over the 9 fractal fortresses. Under them are 999 legions, each divided into 9 hosts. When daemons are slain, their immortal spirit appears before the God of Lies from one of the ever-shifting 9 gates, and these are either reformed or reabsorbed based on what Tzeentch wants. Tzeentch's symbol is a sphere bracketed by a twisted sigil. However, his followers sometimes use the all-seeing eye, a symbol fitting for the architect of fate. Wizards can recognize it for its might and fear it for its dark power as well. Those who see the symbol for too long can swear that it writhes and pulses, and observing it for too long can even drive someone to insanity. Tzeentch's sacred colors are both bright and brash, emphasizing very vibrant yellows, shimmering blues, and bright gold. His followers wear Baroque clothing and armor which are covered in his symbols and other arcane ruins. Interestingly enough, unlike other followers of the Chaos, followers of Tzeentch are very clean in appearance and shimmer radiantly with an unholy light. Birds, especially vultures and condors, are very sacred to the god, and some of his favorite mutations include replacing the heads of his followers with twisted eagle heads, granting them multicolored wings, or transforming their feet into talons. Tzeentch's religious tenets are quite unfathomable and reflect well the ever-changing nature of the god of knowledge. They are mutable and very unpredictable, and the god continually demands certain things from his followers. The most cardinal rule states that change is the only constant in the mortal world, and resisting change is an invitation to incur the wrath of Tzeentch. Magic is the greatest force of change in all of creation, and the study of its techniques, whenever possible, should always be encouraged. Invoking change is possible by bringing chaos to a land and its people. Toppling the foundations of law and order wherever possible is a hallmark of a follower of Tzeentch. Lastly, rejecting old ways and embracing new methods is how change can be maintained. The god of knowledge is deception personified and continually hatches plots to suit his grand schemes. Among all the realms of the old world, the Empire is the most interesting to him, and many people in the Empire believe that the master puppeteer is the real individual behind all the treasonous ploys that threaten the stability of the crown. Honestly, they're not too far from the truth, considering that the political platform of the Empire is the perfect scheming ground for Tzeentch. Individual followers within the Empire rarely act on their own. Instead, they gather in groups to do their master's bidding. The leader of a cult takes great joy in winning hearts and minds to their god's cause and is not beyond persuasion and blackmail to increase the strength of the congregation. These cults are often very well established, but they stay underground until the time they realize that the end times are near, when they spring up and rejoice in the destruction of the world and rejoice when the ruinous powers ascend. Chaos cultists of Tzeentch are technically equal in outlook and consider any form of rule or governance as despotic. They often gather at their secret covens wearing masks and bizarre clothing to hide who they truly are and to show that they are all equal before their god. Cults are often very contradictory as they are headed by cultists who actively compete against others in order to be the chosen ones for Tzeentch. The competition can be quite deadly, and this greatly amuses the Changer of Ways. These cults try to gain favor from him in many ways, such as sabotaging infrastructure in their own cities, attempting to corrupt imperial officials, and so on. There are cults even within the imperial army that work in their own ways to diminish morale by poisoning the food or killing officers. The leaders of the cult plan these, often as a result of fervent dreams communicated to them directly from their god. However, Tzeentch never makes things easy for his followers. They have to follow very obscure rules to understand their master's dreams and enact extremely twisted plans to reach their objectives. The cults of Tzeentch rarely maintain copious communication with each other as they're afraid of being discovered. Most cults include people who have some amount of magical ability. The main goal of the cults is to perform horrific rituals that will open a gate to the realm of chaos from the mortal world, which would allow daemons to swarm in and create chaos. However, these rituals are so complicated that few cults actually manage to accomplish them, because if the leaders utter one wrong syllable, it can condemn the entire congregation to be torn through the fabric of reality into the realm of chaos, where they'll be devoured by daemons. What are the gifts, marks, and notable mortal servants of Tzeentch? It is known that sane individuals don't worship Tzeentch, but those who have mad desires certainly do. Once they offer their souls to him, they become irrevocably altered in mind and body, never to become the same again. The god therefore promises spurious gifts to his followers in order to ensnare them, and uses the gift of knowledge and sorcery to hook mankind. He talks about the illicit secrets of the universe in dreams, and those who listen to him become his servants and devotees. Many believe that those who are insane are able to understand the plans of the Changer of Ways better than most. In many cults, madmen are honored because of this reason, but in the Empire, they're persecuted as well. Madness is considered Tzeentch's gift to the mind, and mutilation is his gift to the body. Of all the Chaos gods, he's the most generous with the reward of mutation. The tainted flesh of his followers is something they take great pride in. It's also possible for many people to become tainted, even though they don't actively worship him, and these people usually flee from the Empire to avoid persecution, and later start considering themselves as the chosen progeny of the god of change. Daemonhood is the ultimate gift for many followers of Tzeentch. The price of immortality is something most humans can't resist. However, the god rarely keeps his promises and only rewards the truly most exceptional among his followers with this gift. The person who gets this gift will experience a mutation in their body as their flesh will remold itself, with new limbs and tentacles sprouting from their muscles and faces emerging out of their torsos. If the follower is lucky, they will have a pair of leathery wings sprout from their shoulders and will also shed their humanity. With this transformation, the daemon will be a powerful servant of the Architect of Fate. That being said, one of the more common fates of his disciples is to simply devolve into being a chaos spawn, a mindless being with tentacles that undergoes more mutations than its body can allow. The followers of the god sometimes worship these creatures as well by keeping them in underground prisons and feeding them human flesh to appease Tzeentch. Among mortals, Egrim van Horstman is a powerful champion of Tzeentch. He initially served the Empire but was praying to the Chaos God for knowledge and power to be able to surpass his peers, and then he slowly transformed to being a follower of Tzeentch. He leads a sinister organization known only as Cabal. Village the Curseling is a mutant chaos sorcerer of the god and leads a mighty army of mortals who serve the god of change. Arek Daemonclaw was a former noble of the Empire who became disillusioned with the corruption and started turning to chaos, and later received a lot of gifts from the Changer of Ways himself. He was killed by Gotrek Gurnison. Akold Hellbrass, another champion, bears the gift of Breath of Life, which allows him to sprout vegetation in otherwise barren environments. Living things he touches spring into new growth. Creatures that are on the threshold of death can be restored to good health by this gift. While it sounds merry, this is just an extension of the power of mutation that Tzeentch possesses. Who are Tzeentch's rivals, and what is his role in the Great Game? Scholars drawn to half insanity and corrupted by chaos have tried to understand the ultimate goal of the Great Conspirator. While many of these claims are contradictory, some of them mention the legend of the Great Game, a mythical war of wits and battles fought between the four ruinous powers. The dark gods ally with each other and fight others when it suits them for just about any reason. Tzeentch, Khorne, Slaanesh, and Nurgle constantly compete to see who will become the most powerful chaos god. The only thing that unifies them is their goal to destroy the civilized world. What goal Tzeentch really has in the great game isn't known. The game itself and the destruction of the world may all just be sport for him. The greater plan, if he has one, isn't yet known. As mentioned, many of his conspiracies often appear to be self-contradictory, as he has planned each stage of his scheme over the course of eons. Thus, to even understand the context of his plans is to ultimately delve into lunacy, and this is probably why only the hysterical can truly understand his intentions to some degree. Perhaps the great schemer is mad himself and his plans are devoid of all reason. Tzeentch often regards the other Chaos gods as simply a means to achieve his own goals. He may ally with them, but he won't hesitate to betray them as soon as they outlive their usefulness. He feels extreme contempt for Nurgle because the latter loves to wallow in stagnation, something Tzeentch, as the god of change, absolutely despises. The basic difference of their essence always puts Nurgle and Tzeentch at each other's throats. Tzeentch aims to downplay Nurgle at all costs, and even his cultists try to thwart the efforts of the god of decay the best they can. Tzeentch will only ever join forces with Nurgle under extreme circumstances. Who are the daemons and forces of Tzeentch? Attempting to list all the daemons of Tzeentch is nearly impossible because they are always changing in their form as a result of their constant evolution. However, some of the most well-known daemons are pink and blue horrors. The horrors of Tzeentch are truly horrific entities, swirling blurs of mercurial demonic energy, and they don't maintain a fixed form beyond a heartbeat. The only constant about them is their luminescent skin tone, which varies from pink to blue. They cackle incoherently with glee and demonic flame erupts from their fingers. Flamers! Also known as burning horrors, they are well known for their ability to conjure demonic fire. They are a mix of demonic flesh and tooth-filled maws, and they engulf their victims in multicolored flames. Although they are hunched and tubular in shape, they stand taller than a man if they're upright. Flamers are somewhat rudimentary creatures who require assistance from higher daemons. Changebringers! These horrors help the forces of Tzeentch reach their enemies in battle quickly and keep pressure from above by letting warp flame rain on them. They have the ability and agility to fly across battlefields and can also rain down Tzeentchian fire. Screamers! Demonic entities that ride upon the winds of magic, just like how a bird glides upon a breeze. They have a merciless and predatory instinct and usually gather in schools before soaring down on their helpless prey. Discs of Tzeentch! Large, sentient, demonic creatures that were transformed from ordinary screamers to disc-like shapes to suit the sorcerer who binds them as swift months by Tzeentch's will. They are completely round and are often covered in many eyes, scales, gold, glass, or magical substances. Burning chariots of Tzeentch! Large daemon engines that can hurtle across the realm of chaos like meteors. They bring his sorcerers to every corner of existence. Heralds of Tzeentch! A specific type of pink horror that doesn't turn into blue horror when struck down. They are maniacal and particularly intelligent creatures. Among the greater daemons are the daemon princes of Tzeentch, who are extremely powerful spellcasters who were also powerful chaos lords before their demonification. Lords of Change, also known as Feathered Lords, are greater demons of Tzeentch and are the most powerful of his servants. Unpredictable and manipulative, they are spellcasters beyond compare. They're extremely intelligent and have their own agenda which they try to fulfill based on what their master's will is. This kind of improvisation is allowed since Tzeentch himself is always open to change in any form. What is the realm of Tzeentch? The realm of chaos lies beyond the light of the sun or any star. This is a place without any physical or temporal boundaries, and it's a dark, formless limbo. This is where the dark gods of chaos live. The crystal labyrinth within the realm of chaos is the kingdom of Tzeentch, and as such, it binds the entirety of the realm of chaos. It is Tzeentch's material domain that holds the entire realm together, and if this was destroyed, the rest of chaos would be too. There are no daemons to guard the crystalline labyrinth, but the journey through its caverns is extremely perilous, and only those with the strongest willpower can make it. The corridors of this labyrinth not only reflect light, but also hope, despair, dreams, terror, and so on. There's no fixed path through this maze, but rather a series of constantly changing obstacles created by Tzeentch himself. While those who enter this place have their bodies intact, they never regain their sanity. At the heart of the crystal maze lies the impossible fortress of Tzeentch. The exact appearance of this place isn't known and can differ as per the viewer's aspirations. The physical structure of the fortress is ever-changing, with spires and towers springing out of the fortress only to disintegrate and break down later. The writing shape of the fortress is bound to the current schemes of Tzeentch himself. The interior of the fortress is even more conniving than the exterior, as different rooms and passages follow different physical laws that may not even exist in other dimensions. If mortals were to find themselves in the fortress, they would go mad in very little time. Even daemons cannot withstand the horrors of the fortress except the Lords of Change. Therefore, no matter how distracted the Changer of Ways may be in the great game, he can never be defeated within his stronghold. The other dark gods have tried numerous times and failed. Only a direct attack on the fortress can rouse the god Tzeentch from his introspection in the hidden library, where all the knowledge since creation is stored. What are Tzeentch's long-term goals? Tzeentch seeks the ultimate scheme, which essentially makes him want to play the game for all of time. He wants the continual and unrestrained evolution of the universe to reshape reality itself and break free from stasis everywhere possible. Change is inevitable for him because it leads to greater complexity, chaos, and unpredictability. His influence goes beyond mere plans for mortals and extends into the fabric of fate and destiny. He probably wants to reshape the warp into something even more unpredictable, probably a realm where change is the only constant and he reigns supreme. Like all Chaos gods, he seeks the downfall of the Imperium of men. He influences this through very subtle plans and schemes where he sows discord among different organs and revels in the chaos caused. He wants to guide the universe through an unending cycle of conflict, destruction, and rebirth, which isn't necessarily about winning in the traditional sense, but rather maintaining the ever-shifting flow of events and change, which is where his power truly lies. It's also possible that Tzeentch wants to reshape the warp itself to create a more fluid reality where the boundaries between the material and immaterial completely disappear, which would ultimately allow for change to be the only constant. Marvelous verdict! Tzeentch wants to create a universe that's in a state of perpetual flux where all events can unfold as per his designs. He wants to control the fates of everyone and reshape the future. This goal is intricately tied with his nature as the god of change, knowledge, lies, sorcery, and fate. We want to hear your thoughts on Tzeentch. We know he's a pretty badass character, but isn't it a little strange how sometimes his plans are contradictory to his own interests? Then again, considering how his plans stretch over the course of eons altogether, maybe it's too early to say that they are contradictory. Something we know isn't going to change is that we hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll be back soon with more marvelous content. Let us know in the comments what sort of stuff you want to see from us in the future, especially when it comes to Warhammer 40k, and until next time, this is Wizard Wheezy signing off for now, but you can always find me on Twitch. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.